All right, in addition to our team coverage, our live reports from around the state at a number of campaign events and watch parties tonight, we will also have analysis for you right here from inside our studio. We are following a number of key races, including governor and for Congress. Our Phil Hirschkorn, political brew host, joining us live with a little analysis of what we can expect tonight. Busy night ahead, Phil.
You betcha, Brian, and we'll be coming on from time to time. I'm here with Emily Kane, one of our Democratic panelists, former state legislator, and Jason Levesque, former mayor of Auburn, our Republican panelist. Let's start with the marquee race, the Senate race. Really just a Democratic primary. We can put up their pictures. We have Janet Mills still on the ballot, though she suspended her campaign. Graham Plattner, Mr. Excitement around the state this year with 83 town halls, mostly packed, and David Costello, who has a lot of public service, mostly in the state of Maryland or overseas. Jason, who's Susan Collins worried about, if any of them?
Really, I think it might be this candidate called Blank. I really think that Blank is going to overperform this election. Honestly, I think she's looking at those numbers. You're going to look at, Graham Plattner is probably going to win. 99% chance, right?
Yeah. I mean, like tonight.
I'm sorry, tonight. Yes, absolutely. I'll get a lot of hate mail on that one.
You're going to get quoted on that.
But no, tonight in the primary.
Maybe the only one. We'll get to the other races in a minute.
Graham Plattner is going to win tonight. And it's probably going to be a lot close. I would not be shocked if he won with a plurality of the vote under 50%. It wouldn't be, because I think Blank.
We'll go to ranked choice voting then.
And then maybe we'll have Blank. It might be a great candidate. Who knows? But I think she's going to look at that. I think everybody's going to be looking at the numbers. How many people turned out? How many unenrolled people grabbed a Democratic ballot? How many folks left it blank? How many folks voted for Governor Mills? I think those numbers, the tail of the tape, so to speak, is going to be really telling.
Plattner v. Collins, likely?
Yeah, that absolutely is happening. It is interesting to see the unenrolled numbers, or some early vote numbers I saw had unenrolled numbers coming in at about 18% of the vote, with those voters choosing the Democratic ballot 3-1 in early vote. So it'll be interesting as we get the data dumps out of tonight to see which ballot in these sort of up and down final weeks of this primary did these unenrolled voters choose? How many of them came out to vote? And are they going to make the difference in some of these races? We don't know.
Well, with Collins not having a contested primary, it's obvious that more would vote in the Democratic primary.
But they don't get to choose by race, right? Yeah. So they're either choosing the total Democratic ballot or the total Republican ballot. So if they're compelled in the governor's race on the Republican side, or I guess the first district race, there's a primary there too, that we haven't talked about that much. And then in the Democratic side, certainly there are between 2 and 3 races you can vote in, depending on the congressional district.
Let's pivot to the more competitive U.S. House race. That's in CD2. You both live in CD2. You both held office there. I think you've both run for this seat before.
We are 2 former CD2 candidates.
Right, unsuccessfully. I wasn't going to dwell on that.
I say we were very successful. We just didn't win.
Okay, well said. So we have 4 Democrats on the ballot. We have State Senator Joe Baldacci, State Auditor Matt Dunlap, former Secretary of State, State Legislator as well. We have Jordan Wood, who was a congressional staffer, and newcomer Paige Loud. These are all Democrats. How do you see this shaping up tonight?
I think Paige Loud has been run an exciting, not particularly well-funded race. I don't expect her to carry a huge percentage here, but she does come out of Graham Plattner's camp originally, so that may give her some support. Jordan Wood has come in as, even though he's from Lewiston originally, has been out of state for a long time, but has come in with the most money. And so this is going to be an interesting test where you have Matt Dunlap and Joe Baldacci, 2 long-time, really almost institutions, particularly Baldacci in the 2nd district. But Jordan coming in with a huge amount of money and communicating consistently and over a long period of time at high levels. I think ultimately this comes down to Dunlap and Baldacci. I don't know which one. I know them both. They're both from Penobscot County. Both come from long lines of public service. Both have served in office, both in state, local offices. So they're very well known. Matt started earlier. He's had a pretty sustained campaign. Joe came in late and had more support nationally. We'll see.
They're both 60-61, and I guess Republican Paul LePage, former governor, is waiting in the wings, uncontested tonight. He's 76-77. What do you see happening?
It's a very similar situation, obviously, Senator Collins. He's looking at the data. He's going to look at the tape and see what's going to happen. I think it's going to be interesting because he's really gearing up to see who his matchup's going to be. Frankly, I think Jordan Wood's come on pretty strong. He doesn't have the chops in order to get all the way there, so he'll be eliminated in the second round, third round. His votes will probably go to Dunlop. I definitely think Dunlop will end up getting the nomination. I think Baldacci will be strong, but I don't think he's going to be strong enough or have a broad enough appeal in order to bring it home. So that's just my take on that.
If it's Matt Dunlop, he's already started talking about Paul LePage's residency. We should remind people he did retire to Florida, unretired in 2022 to challenge Governor Mills, lost, retired to Florida again, and now Matt Dunlop's making fun of the fact that he's renting a little apartment in Augusta, saying he's not really a resident. Of course, he is legally a resident.
I mean, is Matt Dunlop saying that people who live in little tiny apartments are they shouldn't be running for anything? Well, that's a huge percentage of people in Maine.
Right.
I will say that. I mean, listen, we have a long history now of people not coming from Maine and then running for office in Maine. Narav Shah, Angus King, Senator Angus King, to be clear, and the list keeps going on and on. So, former Governor LePage going to Florida and back, I kind of don't blame him. I mean, the income tax is pretty beneficial down there.
Zero.
And right, exactly. So it's pretty good. He don't really get much better than that. He has to preserve in retirement. That's what we're seeing throughout the state. We're seeing people trying to preserve their wealth and then leaving Maine for low to no tax states. He wants to come back and serve because he wants to serve this country. He wants to serve the state. And I think that will resonate with voters, but we got a lot of months to talk about that.
We don't know who the nominee is, but is LePage going to be just as strong as he's been in the past?
I think the campaign is not going to be about who lives where and for how long, particularly when you're running against a former governor who has a long history in the state and two other candidates, well, ultimately there'll be one other candidate running against him who also has a long history in the state. This race is going to be about the control of the House. This race is going to be 100% on both sides about who controls Congress. And I think that those national issues, even more so than in the CD2 races in the past, the national dialogue here is absolutely going to play out. However, Paul LePage is a bombastic guy with a bombastic history, we'll call it, for tonight. And so everything he's ever said is going to come back in this race. The other two candidates have not done as much statewide or bigger races. It's inevitable. I mean, that's part of having a history as an elected official.
But that history is so mild compared to Graham Plattner. Well, that's nothing. That's
and it's mild compared to Donald Trump now, too. I mean,
sure, it is. So the bar has been lowered.
The ball has moved. The bar has changed. The dynamics are different. I mean, even everything about it is different. This is the test of 2026.
Was LePage Plattner before Plattner was Plattner?
Oh, geez.
Is that the quote that I just misaligned?
This is the craziest year. This is, it's the spiciest year in Maine politics I've ever seen, and it's not going to get any less spicy before the fall.
Right, and we should say LePage, even though he lost by, I think it was 13 points to Governor Mills in 22, trying to win the governorship again, he did carry CD2.
He did, which is what opened the door to this conversation. That's what did it. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all for this segment. Brian, we'll toss it back to you.
Phil and our analysts, thank you so much. We'll see more of you tonight.